Talk the tea with Nikki and Emoji. The tea, the tea, the tea, the time, the truth, the talk.
Feel the night pain. Get up off your sass. Queens ring the party. Get up off your sass.
This is the tea.
And now, Burlington's own darling TV queens, straight from the heart of the Queen City, Emoji Nightmare and Nikki Champagne!
This is the tea.
Welcome to The Tea, two queens bringing together arts and activism. I'm Emoji Nightmare.
And I'm Nikki Champagne, and we have another enthralling lineup here for you today. Coming from Sundog Poetry, Tamra Higgins.
And to give us a herstory lesson in queer activism in Vermont, DJ Lou.
And, of course, the cartoonist behind Rachel Lives Here Now, featured in the 7 Days, Rachel Lindsay.
Yeah, I love this lineup. Yeah. How exciting.
Fierce.
So fierce.
Can't wait. So we have a benefit coming up this weekend.
We do. It's on the 3rd, Saturday. Is that Saturday? Is it Friday? Is it Saturday?
That's a great question. I
The
have
3rd.
no idea. I didn't date check before we started.
Me either. Be there on the 3rd at Arts Riot.
That's right. For
Relay for Life.
benefit, yeah. We're gonna do some performances. There's gonna be queens, kings, in-betweens, all-arounds.
It's hosted by Ronnie Bancroft and Mike Oxready.
It should be so much fun.
Celeste LaRue will be making
coming
their,
back.
yes,
Marjorie Mayhem.
and more.
And more. And
Major
more.
Phase. Brittany Rose,
Pickle.
us.
Us. That's all you really need to know.
We can end it there.
So what did you do for Memorial Day?
I ate a lot of meat.
Meat. What kind of meat?
Any assortment of meat that I could get my mouth around.
Oh, that's not very specific. You just take all types of meat.
Anything, yeah.
Great. Awesome.
I especially like a good vegan sausage.
I like this specific.
Yes.
What vegetable is it made with?
It's just like protein, right? Like, I don't know. What is the science behind vegan food anyway?
Maybe that's a new
Oh, we
tea
need to have
episode.
this.
The
We need to get
science
someone in here.
between vegan hot dogs.
How do they do it?
Oh, sausages. Sorry.
Yeah,
All
hot
the
dogs.
sausages. A large sausage, small sausage?
Artisan. Locally sourced, organic, vegan sausage.
And Rachel Zell is here with us
Yeah.
today from the Valley.
Yes.
Well, sounds exciting.
What did you do Memorial Day?
What did I do?
Yeah.
I went outside. It was so beautiful out.
Yeah, let's hope.
And let's hope is right. And I spent time with my lovely boyfriend and my dog, and had all sorts of my own type of meat. So,
Well, you need a boyfriend for that.
yep. And soon we'll
If
do
you
the
want
dating
to,
show.
yeah, we need a dating show too.
If you want to see Emoji have a boyfriend, please write into the tea, and we will get
Come on. You don't want this vegan sausage? All right, well, enough of this.
enough of this. We need to stop.
Let's shift gears. Vegans love poetry, most of them. I love my segues, right?
Vegans love poetry, especially when it's located in the Green Mountains, Northern Green Mountains.
Yes.
Sundog Poetry Center in Jeffersonville.
Yes.
Right?
Welcome, in Jeffersonville, welcome Tamra Higgins, the co-president of the Sundog Poetry Center.
Thanks
Welcome.
for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. It's great to be here. So exciting.
How was your Memorial Day?
Great. You know, I didn't have to help my daughter move. I didn't have to take care of my daughter's dogs. I just had a very low-key, relaxing weekend. It was great.
Perfect.
I couldn't tell if that was sarcasm for a second. I was like, those were all the things that you didn't have to do, but you wanted to play it off as like a really great experience.
That's awesome. So you've got a lot of events coming up for Sundog,
We do,
and
we do.
I can't wait to hear about them. But first, tell us a little bit about Sundog Poetry Center.
Sure.
Where did you how did this come about?
So I taught in the Lamoille County schools for 20 years and decided that I wanted to go back and get a degree in poetry myself. and which was kind of a shock to everyone who knew me because I didn't share that I was a poetry lover from way back when, and even my husband of close to 30 years didn't realize that. So I went back and got my MFA in poetry and then wanted to do something with it. A lot of people go back to school in creative writing and then never do anything with it, with their degree. And so I was pretty adamant that I was going to do something. And I stopped teaching and started this nonprofit business. And what we do is all sorts of things with poetry, retreats and kids camps and publish books and host readings, and just pretty much if it has to do with poetry, we're willing to do it.
Well, congratulations for coming out of the poetry closet and now being open about your love for poetry.
Step, believe it or not. Yeah.
It often is
Yeah.
when you are not truthful about your interests.
Yeah, it's so true.
So when did that closet case love of poetry start?
When I was very, very young, I always kept a journal, even in elementary school, and I would write poetry. And when I went to college, I was too afraid to become an English major, so I became a French major, which sounds crazy, but I was more comfortable in reading French literature than admitting to writing poetry. So it was a love of mine all my life. And then my daughters grew up, they went to school, they went and followed their passions, and I said, it's about time I did too. So they were my inspiration, I would say.
That's awesome. And you've come so far with, you were the past president of the Vermont Poetry Society, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've a published poet now.
Yes, I have a book and a chapbook, and there's a new book of Vermont contemporary poetry coming out with Green Writers Press, edited by the current poet laureate Chard Deniord and the past poet laureate Sidney Lee. And I've got two poems in that book, so along with a lot of course, Vermont poets. So that's very exciting too.
And I know that so Sundog has a book coming out.
We do.
From down in the southern part of the state in Brattleboro,
We
correct?
do. Just next weekend, Friday, June 2nd, we have a big book launch for Pamela Spiro Wagner's new book coming out that we are publishing with Green Writers Press. And that's called Learning to See in Three Dimensions. And she's a fascinating, fascinating woman. She has a autobiography published with her twin sister. Pamela has been diagnosed with schizophrenia, and her identical twin sister is a psychiatrist. And they have an autobiography that they have published together. And this is Pamela's second book of poetry that we're publishing, her first book with her artwork. That is just fantastic. So next week is our launch in Brattleboro. That I'm really excited about.
That's exciting. So that's so Friday night, you said?
Friday night in Brattleboro at Hooker Dunham
Theater and
Art
Gallery.
Yeah, Theater and Gallery. So we'll have her art, and she'll do a reading as well. So.
And that sounds like a really interesting story,
It's
meshing those two lives into one.
It's the dichotomy there. That's fascinating.
Her poetry she has no holds barred with her experiences in the mental health community, and her poetry is incredibly powerful. I can't wait for the world to hear it.
Yeah.
See it. Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll have her on on a future episode. That'd be great if she can make the trek up.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about it later.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, talking about the journey of poetry and how everyone gets in, did you have a favorite poet growing up or a poet influence moving forward?
That's always a really, really difficult question for me. And I was actually at a poetry retreat a couple weeks ago, and that question came up. And I'm going to probably answer with kind of a strange answer. I am fascinated with Robert Frost's Dark Side, and I love Robert Frost, and I love Edgar Allan Poe. And one of the best workshops I ever took was a comparison between Robert Frost and Alfred Hitchcock, and how much similarities they have, and their fears and their anxieties, and they're very similar in their creative process. So a lot of times when you say Robert Frost, the the wonderful
Sigh.
nature Vermont poet. He's actually has this incredible, deep, dark side that that's the piece I'm fascinated with. And Whitman, I always go back to Whitman if I really want to, I don't know, expand what I'm doing.
This is interesting because I do know, I have the luxury of knowing Tamra outside of Emoji Nightmare, and having read some of your poems in the book that you did based on your father's journey in the Korean War, I can totally see your fascination now with the dark, because some of those poems are so dark, and it's like it's interesting.
Well, it's life.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
But,
not today.
Not today.
We're very
happy
bright.
today.
But yes, that's great.
Yeah.
Cool. You've got some events coming up besides Pamela Spiro Wagner's event.
We have this great new retreat we're doing, and it's food and poetry, two things the mouth loves. And
Will there be vegan sausage?
No, probably not. But there will be amazing Syrian food because we have hired a Syrian chef who will present a special cuisine, and all the poetry will be around food poetry and writing. There's a lot of poetry about food out there. It's sensuous, it's satisfying. There's a lot to write around food.
I think our intro
it was
totally
perfect. It was
right?
perfect. Yes. And a third person who will be involved are our poets Neil Shepherd, and then we also have an anthropologist who will take us through Mideastern cultures, and so it's kind of a 3-part poetry retreat this coming weekend.
I'm hungry
June
now for
6th.
some Syrian.
My mouth is ready for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And
It
we
should
love
be
it.
fabulous. Yeah.
And so that's this weekend.
Actually, the 3rd and the 4th.
Okay.
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that will be in Huntington.
It will be at Fielder Farm. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So if someone's interested,
Please, sundogpoetry.org or sundogpoetry@gmail.
awesome.
Now, I'm really excited about something that I was perusing on your website.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about Justice and Poetry for All. When does that start?
So this is the biggest thing we have taken on. It's a 3-year, 9-event series. It'll start in 2018, where we'll hold 2 events, 3 in 2019 and 4 in 2020. And it's all, the whole Justice and Poetry for All came about post-election, where we really felt like we wanted to do something with social justice, because we saw that was soon going to be lower on the priority scale, perhaps, for our country. So anyway, we are holding 9 events, and we're going to focus on marginalized populations, and those will be women, children in poverty, the incarcerated, immigrant laborers, people of color, Abenaki, refugees, LGBTQ, and I think that was 8 of them. And so we're really looking to have them be big events with speakers and poets, and we've partnered with the Peace and Justice Center on this project, and with the Young Writers Project. So we'll have students, and we're in the beginning stages of it, but we're very excited about these.
So sounds like a really big undertaking. So I'm assuming you're going to need some support.
We do. We've applied for a National Endowment of the Humanities grant, and we are looking to fundraise close to $60,000 in addition to that. So it will be, we're looking for a lot of support over the next 3 years in that.
So that sounds like a great opportunity for some, for a corporation to come and, shell out something, and you get like some longevity out of that.
You do.
Being that it goes all the way through to 2020.
Right. We are looking for corporate sponsors, and if our corporate sponsors will be able to speak at each of our events, so that's 9 events over 3 years that will be including their logos in our advertisement and marketing, and so it's a great opportunity for a lot of exposure.
Yeah, sounds it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so each event is focusing on a different identity.
That's right. That's right. And we are putting together an advisory panel for each of the events to make sure that we include that population who knows the best, about the experiences. And so we're starting to build those panels now, those advisory panels.
Wonderful.
Fantastic. So other than just sponsoring, there's other ways to get involved with Sundog Poetry Center, I'm sure. Volunteering,
sure.
Attending some of these events.
Yeah, attending events and workshops and readings and spreading the word is the best way.
Because you're everywhere. I mean, you're down in Brattleboro. You've done events in every kind of corner of the state, it sounds like.
We've done events with 10 independent bookstores. We've interviewed poets all over the state and have our Conversations with Vermont Poets series that are available in podcasts and on CDs. We've just launched a broadside series, so we're going to have beautiful, I don't know if you're familiar with what broadsides are, but it's usually poetry written on or printed on a really beautiful paper and a kind of exquisite renditions or versions of poems. What else do we have going on? We have a huge event in September where last year's event we involved 50 high school students in Share Your Heart, Share the World Poetry event, and this year we have the Poet Laureate of Virginia joining us, Tim Siebels, who he earned his MFA at Vermont College. He's an amazing poet, and so we will have that event again this September. So the best way to get involved is to sign up for our email.
Come to an event,
come to an event and just join us in poetry, celebrating poetry.
I love it. I think everyone needs a little bit more poetry in their life. Just,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we can find all of these events on your website.
That's right.
Which is
sundogpoetry.org. Right. We're a totally nonprofit organization. We do all of our events, everything is funded through donations and grants. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, best of luck this weekend at your events. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I'm so excited. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Well, we have an exciting weekend planned between performances, Tamra's events. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, filled with poetry.
Yeah. So much poetry. I'm excited for Sundog. They're really doing it up.
Yeah. I'm especially excited for 2018. Let's get some poetry and justice for all.
Speaking of justice, the leader of queer activism in Vermont, I'm gonna say it. It's DJ Lou, and we have them here today.
Whoa! Oh my God!
The leader.
You did not just say that.
Leader.
Actually, wait. I don't know. I was
Do it. That's
a quiet coyote. I'm tired.
Too much outright.
Too much outright right there. No, I was gonna do Live Long and Prosper. That's what my brain just did not have a computing moment there. So
I thought you were doing Wu-Tang or something.
No, Wu-Tang's like this. I'm too white to do the Wu-Tang thing. My fingers do not. It's you do the W thing, right?
Oh, I really didn't know.
Yeah, I should not be throwing that onto the screen at all. No, yes, but thank you. That's quite the.
Well, no, thank you for just sticking it out and helping, through all the organizations you're a part of, queer youth and just queer individuals.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This feels not too cash. You guys
were
we're
I'm
gonna move.
Oh.
I know.
Should we be lounging in
or
our
it was
chairs?
maybe a little too therapy-ish. I don't know. Yeah.
Come to our couch.
Yeah, right. Or just put my. Yeah, that's rude.
Yeah.
I'm not being. This is your
Yeah,
living
come
room.
on.
God forbid.
Right, with your pretty plants.
Our very clean shade
Very
tree.
clean shade
This
tree.
is the shade tree.
Because you can't have tea without shade.
Wow. Are you a writer? How many writers do you have for the show?
I can't keep track. I think
Yeah.
last just you? Well, I'm a printer. I edit. I edited. I don't know if you noticed. I did edit.
You're the editor. It's a
We
great,
make it happen. It's a great partnership here.
small community.
It's great.
Yeah.
It takes a team. It takes a village.
It
sure
does.
does.
It does. So, Speaking of villages, like you have your hands all over our village here, like music, drag, DJing, activism, a jack of all trades, some may say. And what are you doing like right now? Fill us in. What is in the life of DJ Lou?
So kind of my day job is interim executive director for Outright Vermont, which is kind of a full circle for me in my career thus far in being in Burlington, because I was the director for Outright about 10 years ago. I was actually a co-director first and then a sole director back in my early 20s when I was younger and had less gray hair and all the things, more energy. But I'm back there, and it's just that organization has always been near and dear to my heart. Even when I wasn't on staff, I've been pulling fire trucks. I've been doing all sorts of stuff with them in any way that I can. But essentially, what I'm doing is helping them kind of lead through this transition time for their leadership, figure out what is next and what is right for them. Outright Vermont, of course, works with queer youth around the state, advocacy and education work in schools, and a rip-worn queer youth space here in Burlington. And then besides that, I have been the longtime producer for Pop-Up Queer Dance Party and co-founder of that. I DJ on the side as DJ Lou. I've had a weekly radio show on WRUV for like 15 years now. So Sunday nights, 8 to 10, folks can tune in. What I play on the radio is pretty different from what I spin out like for Club-wise, because it's kind of like different genres, really. And then also I'm co-producing SAS, well, essentially with both of you, really, let's be honest here, which is kind of a spin-off of Pop-Up. It's like a monthly dance party and social at Higher Ground. And so that's the second weekend of every month. And I think for the next few, it'll be the second Saturday of every month. So those are just a few things, you know.
Just a couple.
Just a couple things.
That was only like 6 or 7
it was,
things.
Indeed.
And that's the show, right? I mean,
That
that's
is
all. We only have time for that one question.
And
No.
I don't even think you mentioned
WBTV LP.
LP.
So that has been a project for, I want to say like 6 years now, where we're building a new community radio station, actually right here at the VCAM studios, where you are now.
Lovely.
Just on the other side of that wall, there's an actual full functioning radio studio. And it's for low power community radio. Essentially what low power means is exactly kind of what it sounds like. For 100 watts, you can actually have a broadcasting radio station that gets 100 watts in Burlington would probably get to essentially Winooski, maybe Shelburne. It's like, it's depending on where the geography is, really. Because radio waves, if it hits a mountain, it obviously doesn't go to the other side, right? In Burlington, with 100 watts, that's really low with the antenna here. So it wouldn't really get above the hill in Burlington, which there's a hill in Burlington. Most people are like, don't realize that, but you know, all it takes is walk it up.
The Hill District.
Yeah, the Hill District, exactly. And so anyway, in short, 99.3 WBTV will be actually broadcasting on regular radio by the end of the summer. We're raising a tower. It's kind of like the exciting final push here, because the last 6 years has been all of the boring stuff of building a station. So like filing paperwork with the government and you know, figuring out what equipment you need and how to fundraise for it, and getting some basic programmers. So
Do you have to deal with like the FCC and all of that sort of stuff?
Oh yeah, I literally know how to build a radio station at
That's
this point.
exciting. That's
But how often does one use those skills?
I don't know,
though?
but
It's
you
not-
can put it on your resume.
I can put it on my
like
resume.
I mean, I want to put that on my
That's
resume.
true.
We built a TV show,
Yeah.
but not nearly as
It's cool. It's cool.
I mean, we do owe this TV show
To you. Absolutely.
I mean, giving you a lot of praise today, but
I know, my
you
God, it's
deserve
like you
it.
to my hype team.
That's great.
A quick discussion around like, we want to be a part of the radio, and you said no.
No.
Your faces are made for TV,
I did.
which people do not
I
often
said
say
you
to
should
us.
do TV. Indeed.
They usually say your faces are made
I
for
did.
radio, but hey, we made it to TV instead.
We did.
I saw this thing on Facebook. Someone had the social commentary to say that drag is to trans women as blackface is to people of color.
How do you feel?
Discuss.
Good Lord, that's a big question. I think context is everything, right? So there's social context for the history of drag, and actually drag has included people of color communities in a whole range of things, right? So, and drag is also this like performance. So blackface is straight up racist.
Right.
So I'm not really sure if I need to say more than that. It actually is, and it's like it's white people playing out stereotypes of black people with the intent to belittle and make fun of people and be completely inappropriate and awful. drag is about assuming a different persona of yourself by using gender as the playful performance. And I think that responsible drag also has elements of social responsibility and commitment to community and a political bent to it for some drag. So I think it's two completely different topics and cultural phenomenons, and you can't oversimplify it into comparing them as the same thing. It's just you can't.
I am going to take this moment and coin, I hope I'm coining us, but the term "please drag responsibly," and I want it on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Please drag responsibly, right?
Go.
It makes sense.
There you go.
And I see you have a T-shirt. What
I
is
do
this?
have a T-shirt.
What is this?
So, maybe in a similar vein, and I do not want to get into this today, but so this T-shirt says "queer as fuck." I don't know if you can see it there.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So queer as fuck, this is another example of like queer as an identity that has been formulating over the last 30 to 40 years in a fierce way to take back the word queer, which was a slur for many folks of an older generation than ourselves. I totally get that. There are many other words that are similar to that I won't even give justice to like using as examples, but queer is this more inclusive term that has been re-empowered by people, including myself, around gender and sexuality. I identify as a queer person, as a genderqueer person, and as a word and a term, it has become politicized, and there's an academic stint to queer. There's queer theory and queer studies in academia where it actually explores gender and sexuality in a different level. And so, when people use the word queer and liken it to other slurs of like, oh, you don't use the word queer because it's just like using the F word, or it's just like using, other really hateful, intentional language. Again, I would argue that the use of the word queer, if it's someone's identity, it's not the same thing. Again, these are really super complex concepts that you cannot oversimplify to just be like, oh, it's the same thing. And so I had this T-shirt made by a friend of mine, an artist friend of mine. Again, I'll show it one more time.
Yes.
Jen Berger made this for me, so thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Because there was a big battle in the queer community locally about the use of the word queer in pop-up queer dance party, and saying that it was a slur and that we should not use the word queer. And I said, nope. Like in the context by which we're having this conversation, it's an identity that I hold. It's a name for the organization that does these dance parties, and for a huge growing part of the population of the community that is who identify as queer. So like this is therefore a queer dance party. And so using what words you use, I think carry great responsibility and power and weight in this community for the space that you're trying to create, and we are creating queer space at Pop-Up Queer Dance Party. So hence the T-shirt and being queer as fuck. So.
Yeah.
I need a Jen Berger. I need a T-shirt.
Indeed.
I don't know you, Jen, but I want your shirts.
Mass produced.
Yes.
So, talking about queer intentional space, what does that look like? Like, what are the vibes of a queer intentional space?
Queer intentional space, I think, is just like you being, thinking about safety, thinking about the content of the event, how people feel while they're there, what does the space look like, just being creative with it. And therefore it can really be about anything. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, keeping it simple, right?
Yeah, boil it down. Makes it a lot easier. Take it in. And like identities and claiming that space is like a form of activism in itself. Like revolutionary to just like fight back against this system with a CIS system. So what does activism look like for you specifically?
Activism look like for me? You guys are getting me clamped. Activism is showing up, is being real, is being humble enough to know that you don't know everything. I think ally activism is some of the most important work that can be done right now, but also being fiercely defensive of like what is true and important to you. And it ranges in the topics, right? So like we're talking about like simply just survival right now in this age of Trump, but in the queer community that has looked like a lot of different things. As white people in a world that has a lot of racism going on still, that looks like a different element of activism, so how white people show up to fight racism. So I think that activism for me is about being able to realize that there's a role to play in all of these things, and you need to be able to show up in a way that's authentic and real to you, but also sustainable. And so, you're no good to anybody if you're just like gonna burn out and, just be like on this like crusade of like justice and then be like, I'm tired and exhausted and out of money. And so, you know, for me, it's about being able to see, to be true to kind of what it impacts me personally, but then also be like, again, a good ally and showing up for other people when is appropriate and when is, you know, within context, right? So like Black Lives Matters, for example, is a great movement that has been really inclusive of white allies, making sure that there's like places that are appropriate for those folks to show up. They're not the leaders of Black Lives Matter, though. Like, white people should not be the leaders of Black Lives Matter. And similarly, you know, in all these other movements, it's like letting people kind of knowing when you should lead and when you should follow, I guess is what I would say is kind of the bedrock, I think, of good activism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this like journey of activism and the way that it plays out, like we've seen so many movements, whether it's the feminist, whether it's the Black Lives Matter, whether it's the own like queer movement that we have in Vermont, whether that's like Take Back Vermont way back in the day, well, actually not that far back. Have you seen a change in activism in the way that it plays out in communities?
Yeah, activism, I mean, there's no right or wrong way to be an activist, really. I think, again, the hallmark of activism is like getting educated and learning how to educate others. That's what activism is about, right? You're trying to move people to change behaviors and systems of thinking and rules and regulations and sometimes laws, and that all stems with the root of education. If people don't know what they don't know, you know? So if you're trying to kind of make that change, you need to change your strategy and how you're teaching people. So that's where I think it's changed over the years, is that, you know, some people wanted to like shame people into doing the right thing. That's one strategy, like the ACT UP is what I'm thinking about, right? So the die-ins that were happening during AIDS, like it got that bad. It straight up got that bad, and so like that was like what they needed to do is shame the government into saying, you're ignoring all these hundreds of thousands of people, not hundreds of thousands at that time, but like over the years, it has been hundreds of thousands of people now who've died from HIV/AIDS, and ACT UP was really trying to kind of like blow the alarm and say, you know, the government's literally doing nothing for this like this plague that's happening. Yeah. And you know, different other strategies, for example, like Outright at this point is working closely in partnership with schools about how to create safe schools for queer students, basically. And that's in a partnership kind of way. So it's not in a like, you know, you guys are doing a bad job. It's more in a way of like, we're going to work with you so that you can educate your teachers about proper pronouns and, you know, the experience of trans youth and like what, you know, gay lives might feel like or be like for young people who live in the middle of the Northeast Kingdom. And so I think it's about, again, using education as the lens, but then like different ways to kind of educate people. Sometimes you got to wake them up. Sometimes you got to kind of lead them gently. And so I think that's part of how it's changed over the years.
Yeah, especially in the era of, we kind of get into this topic of slacktivism on Facebook. So is that a thing? Like you're educating, you're providing information to the masses.
It's not, because I guarantee people are not actually reading all those articles.
There's more than just hitting share.
They read the titles though. That's a lot of work. There's a lot of content on Facebook.
Social media is just a way to kind of shout at each other, really. I think it's not. If you're going to have a real like conversation that's going to move you, you need to have it in person. I think that's the only way to do it. So.
So maybe it is a slacktivist route.
It is.
Yeah?
I would say it is a selective route. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's play a game. Do you want to play a game?
I would love to play a game. We love rearranging our studio, so here we are again playing a game with both DJ Lou and Rachel Lindsay, joining us pre-interview to get her game on. Can you explain the rules for everyone?
I can try. So Nikki and Lou will be on the same team, and Rachel and I are together. We will draw together. We're together.
Yeah, you heard.
Yeah.
You heard it here first,
It's
folks.
official.
This is the announcement campaign. I hear
So
wedding bells.
we will draw a card that will have an object on it, an item that we will need to literally draw, and Rachel will try to guess what I'm drawing, Lou will try to guess what Nikki's drawing, and whoever guesses it first gets a point for their team. Do I have that right, Lou?
Yeah, and first to 3 wins.
First
Awesome.
out of 3.
Yeah.
And we're drawing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can
Do
show.
you want to put your hand in the hat? Okay, great.
All right.
Here.
This is what we're drawing.
Okay, let's go behind. Secrets are no fun unless you share with
Great.
everyone. Okay. Oh, hold on, my mic.
Are we ready to go?
Maybe. Okay.
Go.
Okay.
Yeah. Dog.
Penis.
Dead dog. A dead dog. A dead cat. A dead cat. Roadkill. An otter.
Person. Oh, wow.
Otter on her back.
Yes,
Baby otter.
yeah.
Otter on her back. Baby. I got it.
Otter floating on its back.
Otter floating on its back.
Yes.
Boom.
Wow.
You were trying, right?
What?
That was great.
Oh, did I mention the shit talking? That's gonna be a thing.
Rude.
I love this.
Yeah.
Penis. Dead dog.
Okay.
Yep, here we go.
We
Totally
have to
got
make.
that.
we have-
Okay.
That's one. Yeah.
I'm so nervous.
Oh my God, I think you've actually done this one before.
Okay.
My kids, you know.
Yep.
3, 2,
Okay.
1.
Oh, just go, cheater.
What? Nobody said anything.
A dog.
A wolf.
A dingo.
An alpaca. A llama.
Oh,
Unicorn.
unicorn. Unicorn flying. Unicorn
Pegasus?
farting.
No, what is
unicorn,
this? Unicorn shitting.
Unicorn over a rainbow. Unicorn farting rainbows. Unicorn shitting rainbows.
Yes!
Wait.
I think I said shitting rainbows.
I said
together as
unicorn.
one clue.
Yeah.
Wait
You
a
said
minute.
shitting rainbows. I said unicorn.
We need a judge.
Yeah.
Oh!
We're going to the tech booth. Tech booth. Can you
That's a photo
bring
finish.
yourself on the
Bring
camera?
it to photo
That's a
finish.
photo finish.
What do you
Tech
think?
booth.
What do you?
Oh no, I broke it. I broke it with frustration.
So,
That was a tie.
That was a tie. Okay,
tie, so no
do over,
points.
do over.
You want to do a different one? All right.
There's
Well,
not
good,
enough
only 4
space
clues.
for me, okay?
I
There's
understand
not enough
that.
space for me to have a unicorn shit, let alone a rainbow.
throw it into the camera. Let them see your frustration.
Yes. All right, there's only 2 more clues, so. Okay.
So someone needs to win this time.
First to 2.
First to 2.
Okay.
Okay, all right, ready, go.
A bowl of cereal. Oatmeal.
Oatmeal. Yeah.
Soup. Walk.
Okay,
Wrong.
definitely.
Yeah,
What is
that was
it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, we got that. That's
Definitely
oatmeal.
got that one, yes.
What?
It's
Nice.
a bowl of oatmeal, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
Adam is so
All right, fine.
specific.
It's tied. It's up to you guys now. Who's
Okay.
gonna
Okay,
get
great.
All right.
All right.
Next one will be a tiebreaker.
Wait, where?
All right, Nikki, we're gonna win this right now.
We got this.
Emoji.
Oh my god. Okay. Ready? Set. Go.
A circle of rocks.
No idea. A meeting. A boring meeting. Trump.
Cheerios.
Trump's giving a speech.
Over.
This is so hard.
Okay.
People.
A guitar.
Teaching.
A concert.
Concert.
A
concert. Somebody in specifically a concert.
Stadium concert. Super Bowl concert.
so hard.
A fan. A
Super Bowl
concert. A
Sunday.
singer.
Oh, that's
Singer.
actually
Singing to
American
the concert.
Idol.
Keep going. To the fans.
Um,
Choir. Singing to the choir.
Preaching to the choir.
Okay. Music. Singing to the music. Music.
Orchestra.
yes.
Oh!
Yes.
Yay! We did it.
That was hard. That was hard.
That's how it goes.
Oh,
Wow, that's. You know what? Wait, no. Let's just take. Guys, I
Oh, now
wish
we're
that we
gonna
didn't.
deconstruct.
I just wish that we didn't crumple up our drawings because this is our beautiful inner voice, you know? And like, look how we've chosen to represent this.
Right
They're
there.
like, don't you see?
Don't you see what is happening here?
What's
Look at
happening?
me.
Do you see this?
Why won't you look at me?
Oatmeal.
That looks like
Oatmeal.
ramen.
Yeah.
It does look like
That was
ramen.
my next answer was gonna be
Okay,
ramen.
what do we do? This one's.
Just sitting.
Oh my God,
otters.
the otter. The otters. Like this is like everyone being paralyzed and just staring at each other, being like, "Oh, I'm done." Yeah. This is so close. Like this is like.
I was eating a clam
Like-
or an oyster or something. A
I
clam.
was like, I really thought that this was very beautiful. This is a very painterly drawing. This is like straight.
Mine's like kindergarten, just learning how to put it
It's an
together.
obese otter.
But we did win.
won that
You
one.
see that water? It's
These unicorns. I didn't even know
yeah,
what.
look at that.
Yeah,
Look at
amazing.
that.
An ass.
Yeah.
Team.
We didn't even need it. We knew.
Yeah.
So arts won over activism today.
As it should be.
There you go.
Awesome. Well,
wow, that
this
was
was
a
really
lot.
fun.
All right.
Thanks, Lou, for suggesting that we,
Yeah,
do
great
this.
idea.
Win,
And-
lose, or draw, not to be confused with Pictionary. Essentially, well, we are going
Gonna clean up, and we'll have Rachel back for another segment.
Awesome. So let's bring her onto the set, Rachel Lindsay.
Hi.
Hi.
How
So-
are you?
So good. So glad you're here. Let's talk about this time lapse, and we'll go into it.
Okay.
We'll show everyone what we're talking about. But so tell me a little bit more about what that took.
Well, it was an idea of my friend Megan O'Rourke, and she had talked to me about that and had done that kind of work in the past with some other artists in the area. And so I've always kind of had a fantasy of doing animation, and in a way that sort of seemed like a cool way to make that happen. But I had no idea what it was going to be, and I just woke up that morning and she came over and set the cameras up, and I was so tired, and I just tried to like do something, you know. I was like, I'm not getting anything done, and like you'll see me at the table and I'll just be like standing there and I'm like getting up and like, you know, like just like kind of pausing all the time. But I managed to like eke out some stuff, and like it wound up working perfectly with that song that I had written, which was so cool because I always wanted to have a animated music video. So it was just like this perfect, it just worked really well. And there's one piece in there that I have since, like I traded with a friend of mine for a painting. So it's really nice to have that piece in there because I still have it with me. It's an original, I never scanned it, I never did anything with it, and it says, if you hate your job, just quit.
Nice.
So that's one you want to keep with you, you know.
That's awesome. So let's take a look at that time lapse.
I don't understand your feelings on the phone, reading all your dirty verses all alone, for 2 weeks at most, baby, you'll be on my coast. How am I supposed to feel? Turning your text messages to something that's real. Maybe I'll just say that it's love, and I'll call up my parents and tell them you're the one. Maybe we'll pretend that it's love. I am unfamiliar with your tenderness. One day you will tell me it's too serious. For 2 weeks at most, baby, you'll be on my coast. Now I've got something to fear, turning your text messages to something that's real. Maybe I'll just say that it's love, and I'll call up my parents and tell them you're the one. Maybe we'll pretend that it's love, turning your text messages to something that's real. Maybe I'll just say that it's love, and I'll call up my parents and tell them you're the one. Maybe we'll pretend that it's love.
That was so cool. We got to see the inner workings of your bedroom, like a private eye investigation.
My bedroom, inside my bedroom, where everybody wanna be.
That was so cool, though. That was great to see.
Yeah, I love that thing. Yeah.
And I
it's really
love that.
fun.
I just love the whole that you are also producing the theme. Like we have our own theme song. I thought we were like the cool kids in town, but like I didn't know you have your own theme music and you can produce it yourself.
Yeah, well that was pretty old, but it just like Megan did such a good job with it, and it just turned out that this song, I wrote that when I was like 19, and it just fit so perfectly, like the rhythm, it was exactly synced up. So it's always nice when you collaborate with someone and it actually works, and you have something that both of you are proud of. So that's nice, and she's a Burlington artist also. So
give it up.
Yeah.
And you just seem like an overall just artistic person. You're doing drawing, you're doing singing, you're a little bit of want to get into animation.
Producing a little bit.
Yeah.
That would be
so
cool.
when did you get interested in comics specifically?
I've always drawn comics, like as far as I can remember. I was always drawing, and my parents are both artists, so we always had, supplies around to play around with. So I have these sketchbooks from when I was a little kid that have, little boxes with people in it, and like, you can see that the story is being told. But my first like proper comic that I remember doing and like actively sharing with someone was in 3rd grade. It was called The Adventures of CK, and I don't know how this worked out, but it's supposed to be Corrugated Cardboard Kid, and it was for a report about recycling, because that's what all we needed to worry about when I was in 3rd grade was recycling, you know?
Yeah.
Poor kids today, I mean, really. But like, so
global warming and climate change.
Just one after another after you would just want
greenhouse
to
gases.
slit your wrist after you do that little book report. I mean, Jesus. But anyway, so I did this comic about this kid, and it was really like crude, but it was very much like a really like I've looked at it at this point and been able to be like, wow, that's like I did a pretty good job like putting that across. You know, it's not perfect, but like I shared it with the class, and then they took me to share it with the principal, and then like from there I was like, wow, this makes me really happy. Like I'm really happy that like I can draw this and I can share it with people, and people like it and think it's fun. And then from that point on, I just kind of kept doing it, and yeah, I mean, it just became so many different things that, you know, I used to do it as much as possible for like school reports. Like I did one for health class in middle school. Like I did a second of the CK thing. Then when I was in high school, I had a comic strip in our school paper called Thoughts On, and that was like pretty similar to my strip that I have now, except that like it took place at my high school. Like cat fights, like, you know, responses to like the school dress code, you know, like people taking your spot in the parking lot because we had like assigned spots and stuff. So like all of those like storytellings of like a very specific experience at this high school, but it wasn't like you followed my character everywhere, which is like much more the style of what I'm doing now.
So where were you before you were in Burlington?
Well, I grew up an hour outside of New York City, and then I moved to New York City for college, and then I worked there. So I was living in New York from 2005 to 2013, and then I moved up here.
Okay, what I love about Rachel Lives Here Now is just like the outsider's perspective, basically, I'm feeling like, of Burlington, and you capture that so well.
Yeah, I mean, I just was so ready for a life change when I came here, and it's just so, like, what better place to come from when you're trying to create work, you know, because you just have, like, a level of openness that's really, it's very productive, I think, and I was just so happy, and I kind of, it just worked out. I mean, living in New York City and moving to Burlington is a trip, okay? Like, let's just be real here. Like, I felt like, I mean, I couldn't even leave the house for like, it took me like 40 minutes to leave the house because I always felt like I was wearing, my clothes weren't right. Or like I was too flashy or something. Because like in New York, like, I don't know.
You have to stand out.
Yeah.
It's a big city.
Right. And I was like, no, I just want to, you know, be one of the Vermonters. And like, but the thing about having the fresh eyes, it's been, I had a period of time, like, you know, I've been doing it for almost 4 years now. And after, you know, the first year and a half, I was like, wow, you know, I'm kind of settling in here, and like, how am I going to continue to do this strip that's kind of based on having these epiphanies? And that concerned me, and I'm just really happy that I've been able to somehow like move forward with it, and like it's just become like a deeper part of my reflection on my life in general, and not just about like the environment and the freakish change. And it's cool to hear when native Vermonters will say, like, you get it. Like, you really get it. Like, that means a lot to me. That's, like, the real deal. Like, I spoke at VCAM recently, and there's, you know, some kids want to be there, some kids don't. And, like, you know, I was sharing one of them, and this girl kind of was like, you know, like she like went to go leave because she had to do something. And she was like, yeah, well, your comics are really pretty funny. And, you know, I grew up here. So, you know.
Like, I know
so,
what the scene is like.
Yeah, totally. And I was like, yes. I was like, oh, thank you. And then she was like, actually not cool anymore.
Sorry, I take all of that back.
Yeah, you're a freak.
I remember when I first discovered your blog where you were posting all of your comics, and I totally sent the link to my friend.
When?
When
was that?
early on. I'll have to. I want to look it up and see.
So cool.
Yeah, and I was like, you've got to see this. And her and I both grew up in like Lamoille County, and totally were like relating to. It was just hilarious.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't know
and
that.
because your characters, we all know like real life versions of them. I don't know if like, is it Wes the stoner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we all know like a Wes the stoner, or like
gosh.
24 of them. Like.
Yeah. It's just like that. I just love here that I wouldn't call them stereotypes. They like defy stereotype because they're so authentically people that like, I don't know, it's just something. He's a benevolent stoner. He's just a beautiful kid. He's following his path, you know, and he can also be like so totally captured in his like drug rug. But yeah, it's just it's really the satire of depicting people from a place that you're not from can be like pretty intimidating too, though.
So like you had the blog, and then like I feel like you got sort of discovered. But I from following you from afar, I was like, you had the blog, and then I feel like 7 Days caught wind, and they were super interested, and then you became published weekly, right? In seven days. I mean, I'm sure a lot happened in between there.
Oh yeah.
But
it's all right. We made it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I credit City Market for a hell of a lot of what's happened for me, because I mean, like I came here with the intention of you know, getting this book finished that I've been working on for like 5 years at that point, which I am, and it's coming out in September 2018. But I didn't intend to do the strip at all. But when I started working at City Market, like I was just like, this is hilarious. Like I can't even deal with this. And just by virtue of being able to connect with that many people and be like, not even give a shit at all. I didn't know anyone. I was just like, read my comics, read my comics, read my comics. And so it kind of had this word of mouth thing. And then like Ava Soldberger, who does Stuck in Vermont, reached out to me, and I was like, awesome, totally. And it was, that video is like, I didn't even draw breath when I saw that, because it would just so totally captured this moment of my life that like in the most like beautiful, poignant way, like in the same way that Megan's video does. Like both of those experiences were like, I was like not even aware of what was going on. I was so exhausted in both cases, but like to like look at them and be like, wow, like cool. But I mean, there are a lot of things along the way that just like were like moments of encouragement, but definitely the Stuck in Vermont video, like I had a chance to talk about in some small way all of the things that had kind of given me this momentum, like personally, and like to my confidence, like, which is the most important thing to keep up. But then, you know, throughout that time, I remember like people were just catching on more and more, and people would come to the store and they would ask other cashiers if they were the cartoonist, and they never asked me. And it was hilarious. They would be like, oh no, that's her over there. And then like, people, you know, came from like Middlebury, or were like, oh, I saw you on TV, or like, oh, I read your blog. And it was really wild. And then the other thing they would say is, why aren't you in 7 Days? And I'd be like, I don't know.
Make the plug.
Why am I not?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I put my name through a couple times, and then I kind of got to this point where I was like, you know, I'm not going to do the strip anymore, because I started doing, I created the Weston character, who was a breakthrough because he was my first fiction character, because I write about myself. And I was going to announce the ending of the blog. Like, I literally recorded a video being like, hey guys, it's been fun, but peace. Like, you know, and I just look like shit. Like, I recently like rewatched them, and I was like bags under my eyes, and I was just like dying, like
You're just
totally
burnt
over.
out.
So burnt out. Oh my god. But you know, I was ready to totally end that, and then I got an email from the arts editor of 7 Days, and she asked me to be in it, and it was a huge honor, and I'm so proud to be in that paper, and it makes perfect sense, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Did you do a cover? Did you do the cover of like the arts or the comic?
I haven't done a cover.
You haven't done a cover. Okay, I didn't want to. Well, we can clip that.
But I was in I did get my bit. I was in it like in an
feature,
isolated
right?
instance before I had my strip, which that was like my big break really, and it was amazing because in the cartoon issue, incredible thing that 7 Days does is like one issue a year is all comics, and it's a collaboration between journalists and the cartoonist, and I've done it 3 times now. But the first time that I was asked to do it, I had, you know, again, a customer was like, you should send your comics to 7 Days, drop my name, blah, blah, blah. You know how it is here.
Oh, yeah.
And so I did that, and it was like, oh, I like these, but, you know, we're not taking it for the section at this time. And then I was told later, like, when the cartoon issue came up, they were like, oh, well, how about that girl? So that never would have happened if I hadn't done that. And even though I got rejected from that moment, like, I got to be in it in that issue, and it was awesome because it was just like such a good one. And I literally, when I was leaving my office, like, and my old job, this girl was like, I didn't know anything about Burlington, and this girl, she just knew I wanted to be a cartoonist, and she's like, oh yeah, I went to UVM, I was just up there, and like, check it out. And it was the cartoon issue of 7 Days, and I was like, maybe I'll be in that someday. Next year, I'm in it. And like, it was just wild. And I got to write and draw mine, which I didn't realize at the time was a thing. And the only people that wrote and drew theirs were myself, Ed Koren, and Allison Bechtel. So I was like, what? And I was also like the facing page to this girl, Nicole George, who's like super famous. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. Like, it was awesome. It was really amazing. But of course, I was still hungry.
Right.
Yeah. So that's when you published The Wizard of Life, right? Or
you published and
distributed
Yeah.
on your own.
Yeah.
With like 400 copies in Vermont alone.
Yeah, that was awesome. Because, I mean, you know, I worked at City Market for 3 years, and a huge population, like, I went to school in the city, and, like, you don't feel the, like, there's a college here thing as intensely as you do here. And also, like, it's just a much more homogenous, like, kind of population. And so, like, all of these college bro kids and their friends would come in, and, like, for some reason, like, Weston just kind of manifested himself as, like, the person that grew out of that group, like, plus his friends. So I would be at my register just kind of, like, writing him in my head, and, like, I really wanted to write a fiction series, and finally, like, what happened was I was really stoned, and I was talking to my friend on the phone, and, you know, Weston is in my mind, and I was like, so, like, how you doing? What's going on? And she's a workaholic kind of woman, like, very smart and stuff, but works too hard. And she was like, oh, you know, just following the Wizard of Life. And I was like, Wizard of Life? That is the shit. And I was like, what am I going to do with that? And so it's sort of like the Wizard of Life is like this. He's like the guide for wayward youth. And like, so the Wizard of Life, I just figured out that he was going to be, you know, Weston is this Trustafarian UVM student who gets cut off by his parents, and he prays to Jah, and out of his bomb comes the Wizard of Life, who guides him on quests in exchange for unlimited marijuana. So with that, hey, I worked in advertising. You got to have the elevator pitch. That's all you need. Like, if you can summarize what your story is about in, like, you know, that amount of time, and, like, have the goods. But, you know, it took me a long time to put this together. This took me, like, over a year, and you know, it was kind of expensive to put together, but, like, wow, it is so satisfying to, like, complete something. And
to have something tangible like this, like.
And it's, yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with this still, and it's just nice to be able to give something out, because for the longest time I just had a blog, and, you know, comics are a print thing, and, like, you know, the people go to conventions and they sell their books, and I didn't have anything, and, like, I remember the first convention I went to was so demoralizing because
in New York?
It was it was the main Comics Arts Festival, which is in Portland.
Okay.
And I was such a newbie, but I had, like, I was so, like, high on my, like, City Market fame, and, like.
I'm a big deal now.
Yeah, I was like, check it, I'm the shit. And then I was like, I'm gonna have some fresh threads, like, gonna be looking so fly, everybody's gonna come buy my shit. And I get there, like, I spend literally $400 at FedEx making these shit books and make, like, no money, because it was like, who the fuck is gonna buy this? Everybody has their, like, silk screen stuff, or it looks like this. I don't know how to silk screen anything. like, I don't know how to do that stuff. Like, you know, it was really a rude awakening. So to like finally be able to sort of graduate from that and like have this is like my one and only comic book. As far as I'm concerned, it can be the only one. But yeah, it's just been really fun to put this out there, and I've sold so many of them in like Vermont channels, like the Farmers Market and Vermont Comic Con and head shops. You know, like you just got to think about like what makes sense. And you know, like I tried to sell these at some bookstores, and they like turned up their nose at me. I'm like, whatever, like you. I don't need you. Yeah, like that's fine. So yeah, I mean, I love it. And now it's gotten to the point where like I just like to give them away, which these will be yours.
Oh, wonderful.
Prezzies.
So excited.
And you mentioned earlier that there is another book in the works, another comic book?
Yeah, my first graphic novel is going to be called RX. So, but it's pretty heavy. It's a pretty heavy one.
So is it following the life of Wes, or is there a whole new character that's being developed?
It's about my life. It's a memoir. So it is about, I used to work in advertising, and I worked for a company where like my clients were like Campbell's Soup, like I worked for like Pace and Prego, and I also am bipolar, and I had to like take a job like that so that I could have health insurance, and I was like totally trapped and didn't do any comics or anything. It was just not who I wasn't. I couldn't. And, or, you know, that's how I felt. And so then I got promoted like as a closeted mental patient onto the Pfizer account because pharma was like getting really big. And so I was like making these, like involved in the machinations of making these antidepressant ads, and I just got gradually crazy, and then I was involuntarily hospitalized by my parents. So it's a really difficult project, and I have always just felt like it was my revenge, my manifesto, like my, you know, way of reclaiming that time in my life and just be like, well, I'm going to show you. And so that's why I left New York, because I was like, I need, this has to come out, and like it needs to happen now. And, you know, it's hard, but it definitely means something, and I am happy with how it's coming out visually, and I think it's an important piece, and it's a lot about what it means to be deprived of your agency because you have to deal with health issues. It's about treatment and how people are educated about their illness as a young person. And it's just more and more revealing itself to like have these themes that I hope will be helpful to other people, because I have just been like opening a wound and sewing it back up with a dull needle, you know. Yeah. But it's all good.
I mean, it's so rad to be like reclaiming that story and making it your own, especially through your own art form of comics.
It's crazy. It's really like, I've told, like I was saying before at the elevator pitch, like I've told that story so many times, but actually doing it as a comic is like a different experience entirely. It's like I'm telling it for the first time ever. It's like I'm telling it to myself for the first time. It's really weird.
Yeah, it sounds really difficult, but at the same time, like you said, opening the wound and then like trying to sew it back up, making nice.
I have a couple of tattoos, so you know, I'm ready.
Is that where you get it out?
Pain tolerance. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm gonna get a little mustache, you know.
Can't wait for that one.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you found sort of like a home here in Burlington after going through that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Burlington's a great place to sort of escape it all and embrace this, you know, part of your life that you obviously are so good at.
Yeah. I'm really thankful for this community. I mean, I I was a broken person. Like I really had never drawn comics for years. And I came here with the intention of just kind of like doing this project and just being like, I cannot take this anymore. And then like I figured out a lot of stuff about what I was, you know, it's been a great place to be, and I really love that people are open to looking at each other's artwork and supporting people. It's beautiful.
I love that. It's so perfect. We want to put that on. Yeah, we need to put that on. What did Tamra say? What were those called? Broadsides.
Broadsides.
Broadside.
Yes,
I learned a new term. Broadside. It's like a really. It's like poetry that's on a very like elegant piece of like
paper. And like calligraphy. Really.
Yeah, you know, like
Yeah,
that you might like
yeah.
even frame or keep a. You know, it's more than just a piece.
broadside.
A broadside.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll write something like that in my acknowledgments. That's what I like do in my head when I'm having a hard time. I'm like, thank you so-and-so for doing this for me, like while I'm drawing.
Isn't it fun to like thank people though? I do that a lot too.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like kind of like therapy a little bit to be like,
important to stay
there's
in
so
touch
many
with
people,
that.
that have helped you get to the place that you're at now.
Totally.
Okay, I really want to talk about this.
I was going to say,
Okay,
it's been right in the middle of
Yeah.
us this entire time, and we haven't addressed the elephant or the board game in the room. What do we have here?
Well, I have a board game that I made from scratch. It's my whole concept here, and I brought it because no one really knows about it, but I have been like playing it selectively around town, and like it's a drinking game. If it's 21 plus, it depends. But you know, I don't share that with the parents. So
the
anyway,
instructions are in comic as well.
yeah, yes.
Oh, it's amazing.
So basically, I mean, I can read this.
Yes,
Okay.
please do.
So I'll just do it like
Yeah,
this.
story time.
So it's called College Party, and
Yeah.
there we go. Okay, so it's called College Party.
You want to lift it up.
Okay.
Because we've got the.
Okay, I'm gonna try
There
to.
we go.
All right.
School teacher
Can I
realness.
do this?
You
Okay.
got this.
Hi everyone. Okay. All right. So there's Cherry, who's a cherry, myself, a robot, and a snowman. And I have to give credit to like the structure of this being based on an application for a school, but I didn't end up applying. So there they are. Aw shit, this party's gonna be dope. Only if the heat is off, the snowman says. What up, buddy? High as fucking ready to rage. And then that character is the earliest incarnation of Weston, and Weston has like now he has brown dreads, but then he had white dreads, so he was even worse.
Like
Sorry.
Fred Durst style, right? Like.
Okay, and then the guy says, put the party supplies on the table. And they all go, supplies? And he says, yeah, I told Cherry to go grab all the booze and shit for the party, seeing as I spent all my money on weed. Cherry, the goods, please? Squish, 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 squish. What do you mean you forgot? Squish! I have nothing. Sorry, we didn't know. Get out of my house and buy all the shit now. Here's the shopping list. Make it snappy. Oh yeah, and I'm only letting one of you schmoes back in. The first to return. Objective: be the first to collect all the items on the shopping list and furnish an epic college party. So you can see like my obsession with like with college. Okay, so everyone starts out. With
Big IDs?
Yes.
Yes.
Shut up.
Okay, so like, so you start out with
This is $150. Could you want to go in on this?
150, yeah, let's
Well,
do it.
I'm interested in developing this game. Please call me. Okay, so
Starting a GoFundMe page now.
you start out with your shopping list, and the items are OJ, chips, Solo cups, 18-pack of beer, ice, vodka, and whiskey. And
Sounds
then,
good.
Yeah,
I'm into
it's
it.
a typical shopping list,
It's like
right?
a Wednesday night for
right?
me.
And then you have $19 in cash, which is like whatever's in your wallet, an ATM card, and a fake ID. And so like they're all just like random. Here, yeah, you can take a look.
Please.
Who do you want to be?
Oh my God, I wish we
I
could
relate
play.
to this one.
I'll be the banana.
So the banana is
Camera
actually
one. Camera one.
the banana is actually the cherry because it's a fake ID. Get it?
Here we go.
Which
Here we
one do
go.
you have?
Jesse?
Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah.
That's you? Oh! Yes, I get to be you.
And I often had so many people playing that I had to make an expansion pack. So like
An expansion pack?
So now there's Weston, and this is my Bessie the Bong, and then this is Bad Bitch, who like I can't wait to have time to do a comic about her because she's a bad bitch.
I want a song about her too.
I already wrote one.
Oh my God! Yes.
It's I need to flesh it out a little bit, but
Okay, well,
anyway.
if you need queens on the track.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be talking.
You
Don't
heard my
even worry
vocal
about it.
ability? Have you heard my yodeling?
Yeah, we'll be talking. Don't even worry. Okay, so what happens is the oldest person rolls first. Nice little twist. And then
You don't know. You don't know shit.
and then you go around the board. I'm gonna be bad bitch. And then you go around the board, and there's dice, obviously. And you go at the corners are the stores where you buy stuff. And so there's the beer distributor, the grocery store, and the liquor store, and then there's campus security. So if you land on a busted space, you go to campus security and you lose a turn, or you can bribe the campus cop with $5.
Cheap.
And then
all you got.
when you buy stuff, you like collect these little tokens. So like my favorite is a solo cup token, and the vodka one is good too.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
they're just all fun.
These are so great.
And I had so much fun doing this.
Someone make this happen.
Yeah, please call 555-555. Give me lots of money.
Number right down at the bottom.
That's a very long phone number. 55555. Give me lots of money.
Yeah, you should put it at the bottom. That's so funny.
I don't know if "Give Me Lots of Money" was part
Okay.
of the number, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it is.
It
It is.
it is. Oh,
Yeah, but people have to
it's
figure that out in
foreign.
their head. What numbers are those? No fucking clue.
It's like old school texting.
Yeah, which I do. Anyway, okay, so then the drinking game, 21 plus. Oh yeah, there's an ATM, and that's a $2 fee, but you have unlimited money in it, so it's like so college because your parents are just bankrolling you.
Oh, so you must go to UVM.
I was gonna say, if you go to UVM. No, I don't mean that.
Kind of,
I
she
love you.
I do.
In case.
Been there, done that.
She's like, I don't want to burn this bridge.
They're like
Yeah,
calling,
unless you
they're
wanna fund
calling
me,
to give
like-
me money.
They're literally trying to figure out what all the numbers are. Give me
Champagne,
money.
please reach out.
They're high, so they can't. Okay, so if 21 plus, if you land on blue is you, purple is pick a date, and then yellow is waterfalls.
Oh, so it's
you
very
can
much
get
It is so
fucked
college
up.
drinking.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
watch out, because I have played this with.
And is
like,
there an end though? Because it's
No.
just a circle.
It's when
you
you
buy
it's
everything.
when you collect. Yeah, it's when you buy everything.
Okay.
And then the
Oh,
quad
right. The
cards,
shopping list.
When
Duh.
you land on the quad cards, quad space, you get a quad card. And for example, "Aw fuck, lost $5, return to the bank," or "That dude you owe money, $5 to the bank."
Wow,
And
I
there's-
fucking hate those quad cards.
Mom, no, some of them. Well, that's the thing. I had to make more positive ones because, like, in the beta testing, people were like, "Oh shit," and like
just
it was
losing
such
money.
a downer. Like people would just get so depressed.
And drunk. So it was like.
Yeah, but there's free item of your choice. Like, yeah, these are all
okay.
bad ones.
Okay.
I like booyah, booyah. Find $3 on the ground. But there is.
Hey.
This one's a good
Look
mug.
at you.
Mugged. Return one item to the store.
There's one though.
Oh, look at the
That's you getting
cherry.
choked
I know. Choke the cherry? No. No.
There's one
There's
that's.
no chicken in this
No,
one.
there's no chicken. That's not on the shopping list. That's not the ultimate college party.
There's one card. Oh, this is my favorite little
Here we go.
illustration. That chick you owe money.
Chick you owe money, $5, and that's a little chick.
Oh, look at that chick. But there's one card that, like, I can't find right now, but it's called the Serious Bud card. And it's like you throw down for the most serious bud on campus, you fucking win. So, I don't
This is amazing.
But-
when can we come over and play this?
Oh my God, anytime. It's
Seriously,
just
we're
like
there.
it's the
We're-
funnest thing.
what
Yeah,
are you doing next Friday?
obviously we have a connection and we're gonna hang out.
Yes.
So like no
wait.
problem. Anyway, I don't know
This
where
is
the
so exciting. Like, how else?
the more the merrier. Here it is. Serious Bud. Serious Bud.
Serious Bud.
Serious
Pay
Bud.
$80.
Let's
Yeah,
get,
it's
let's
a
get
lot of money.
So
But,
let's get.
but you have
So can you
unlimited ATM.
So can you hold on to that?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see
Serious
that. I
Bud.
can zoom. No.
80
Anyway,
bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's some.
That's
Oh, and I
That's
love
some
the S.
stanky-
I love that S.
Yep.
That old school. Like
Yep.
we all did that S. Like
We
I don't know.
all-
You're
we
young,
all
so
did
did
that.
you do that
I
S?
still did that
You still
S,
did the
okay.
S.
I like to integrate that into my
Yeah.
comics every now and then.
Always.
For the dankest weed.
I feel like if we did that line game instead of the win-lose draw, I would have drawn
there.
that S. Yeah.
There's something about saying that. It's like ass.
That ass. I would have drawn that ass.
Okay.
This has been too much fun. I'm way too excited. Let's go play this game. Let's leave. Let's go.
Let's get out of
here. Thank you, Rachel, for joining us today.
This was so fun.
I want to also thank DJ Lou for stopping in and chatting to us about the queer activism happening in Vermont.
And Tamra Higgins from Sundog Poetry Center talking about all things poetry.
Broadsides.
And, yeah, gave us a weekend plan.
Maybe I'm saying that wrong. It was broadside, right?
It was a broadside.
Okay.
It was,
okay.
yeah. So be sure to tune in next week for another slew of guests. And as always, we love to hear feedback and we want to be told how pretty we are. So nightpaintofficial@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. See you next week. Bye. Bye.